Direkt från Berns salonger i Stockholm startar nu Träpriset 2020.
The Wood Award Gala 2020 begins. Let me start by introducing the hostess of the night, the Pump, and her assistant, Mattias Fridholm. On ordinary days, the director of Swedish Wood. Warmly welcome up on stage. Your Royal Highness, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, well, you wooden heads, dry old sticks, and chipper chaps as well. And I'm not talking about you, Mattias. Well, I certainly hope so. Anyway, you're all warmly welcome to the Wood Award Gala 2020. And a bit extra welcome to everyone nominated and for this very nice award. We're going to see a number of faces here today, and we have a very special honor to be able to say welcome to Her Royal Highness the Crown Princess Victoria. She'll be with us when we get closer to the award as such, at a certain distance given the situation today.
Most welcome also to all of you out there in Europe. Our international audience is this year larger than ever, and our interpreters will work very hard for you. So most welcome. Det är väldigt många i år. Det är
and we
över
actually
1000
have quite a few participating today. More than 1,000 individuals have signed up for watching us today. And there you are in front of your screens, which is nice and a big honor. And a lot of things will be happening here tonight. Right, Mattias? Yes, finally. It's so great to be here. And I guess I should say welcome to you, because Swedish Wood is the one administering the award, and you are the director. Exactly. And this is the 13th time, as a matter of fact, for the award. The first time it was awarded was already back in 1967, and since this has been a moment of celebration for all of us wood lovers, the award of the prize every fourth year. And this will be so exciting. We've been longing, we've been waiting 4 years, and a lot has been built in Sweden. But against the odds, if someone here has not heard about the Swedish Wood Award, what is it all about? Well, let me start by saying that at Swedish Wood we work with many more things, not just the award and building wood. We use and work with wood products, wood constructions, all different kinds, and we feel that wood is an amazing material. It's good for professionals and for do-it-yourselfers, for adults and for children. And then we haven't even started to talk about that it's good for the environment. Exactly. And the Wood Award, we wanted to reflect today's society. Quite simply, it should be a gauge telling us something about wood construction since the last award 4 years ago. And we've had many nominees and many buildings who've been awarded this prize since 1967. Many famous buildings as well. Yes, for example, 2004 Universium in Gothenburg, and the Vasa Museum here in Stockholm has also been a nominee. And tonight we have 12 new nominees. And they have something in common, which is that they were all completed towards the end of 2018, because that was when we started the process of nominations for this year's award. And somewhat later tonight we will know who the winner is 2020. I'm really looking forward to this. I actually live in a wooden house. It's an old one and makes some noises this time of the year, but it feels healthy to live in a wooden house, and it's beautiful. Yes, they are incredibly beautiful, and we'll see many examples of that tonight. Well, there are many things happening, and what's driving this development that we see now, at the rate that we see, well, Sweden has a long tradition of using woods, generally speaking, and it's not all that strange, because we live in a country where 70% of the land area is covered by forest. And one-family homes, well, we've been building those from wood since times immemorial, but then towards the 1990s, we also started to see industrial buildings being built in wood. And today we build up to 20 stories with apartments, hotels, parking garages, sports facilities, schools, bridges, everything built in wood. And we'll see some examples here tonight, I guess. And what do you actually win? Well, I'll tell you. First of all, the fame and glory, needless to say, but I assume that you meant in addition to that. Well, we have a sum of money, 100,000 krona, that will be sent to the winning project. And in addition to that, we have the legendary horse, the wooden horse, the trophy. We'll take a closer look at that very soon, but there is another novelty, as a matter of fact, that this year we have a chat. Exactly, and I'll sort of be in charge of that chat. And what do you do? Well, we have a link on our website, and you can start to write in that chat now already. Tell us what you think about the projects. And you'll be keeping an eye on that and also report back to us about what is being said. Absolutely, definitely. But the horse, this amazing, wonderful, beautiful horse, it has a bit of a new appearance, right? Yes, it used to look like a, well, golden Dalecarlian horse. And we felt that now it was time to, well, time for a gentle renewal, I guess you could say. And we have tried to, well, do what we do with the wooden architecture as well, where we keep what's traditional, but also look at what's new. And that comes to, well, design and production technology as well, and we're very, very proud of the result. Look at this.
Vinnarna och det nominerade i Träpriset har redan sedan start 1967 förärats med en guldfärgad dalahäst som är en väldigt vacker statyett som också har väldigt stark traditionell koppling. Vi kände redan i förra Träpriset att vi ville försöka titta på alternativ till den här dalahästen och försöka skapa en ny statyett som hade lite mer unik identitet som vi kunde knyta till Träpriset. När jag fick se det nya förslaget från Mera Media på en statyett som var den här kubistiska hästen så kände jag direkt att det här är intressant. Den består av de här raka skivorna som är vinklade och ihopsatta till en volym. Och jag fick faktiskt associationer till industriellt träbyggande och tyckte att det var ju verkligen kul att man kunde förena det med en häst. När jag sen fick höra att den skulle tillverkas som 3D-printning av nanocellulosa som är 100% nedbrytbart så kändes det också väldigt rätt och modernt. Den här nya hästen står på en bottenplatta som manifesterar något väldigt traditionellt som är en kärnfurukloss som är Sugiban-behandlad som innebär att man bränner träet för att få det lite vattenavvisande. Det är en statyett som ska mana arkitekter till innovation och arkitektoniska manifestationer i trä.
Och då är ögonblicket
And now
inne.
the moment is here when it's time for us to welcome the new wooden horse. Welcome up here, and I see Alexander Nyberg, who's the project manager at Swedish Wood and for the gala, is approaching with the trophy. What a difference. What does it feel like holding it here on stage? Well, in particular, it's such an honor to be the project manager for the Wooden Award edition where we launched the new design. This has been around for over 50 years. And now it's been renewed in a new design. Yes. We were adamant to keep the horse for the wooden horse with the times, yes, but we wanted to add an element of future and new technology, so it has been 3D printed using nanocellulose. It doesn't get better than and more contemporary than that. This has been your baby, of course. Not your pony, but your baby for quite a long time, and now it's time to hand it over. Is it emotional? Well, I'm trying to hold back, but I realize that I have no choice in the matter. So, Alexander Nyberg, I'd like to ask you to position it here on this pedestal, because later this evening, oh, look at that, he's kneeling before it. Thank you so much. Thank you. In around 9:30 this evening, we will all know who will be the laureate of the 2020 Wood Award and who will be leaving here this evening with this trophy. I cannot wait to find out. However, in order to receive this award, there's a great deal of work gone into the preparation, of course. Every major award has genuine and intense jury work to prepare for the event. And now it's time for us to get to know the jury a little bit better.
Jag heter Alexander Nyberg och jag är ansvarig för Träpriset. Mycket av kvaliteten i Träpriset handlar ju om de platsbesöken som vi gör. Vi fick in 130 tävlingsbidrag i Träpriset 2020. Vi har besökt drygt 40 byggnader och vi har varit ute och rest under flera veckors tid. Från Hemavan i norr till Malmö i söder. Och det är väldigt intressant för att det är ofta något helt annat än att se bilderna i en pdf. För att tala lite mer om de jurymedlemmar vi har med i Träpriset 2020 så är Carmen Izquierdo med och hon är ordförande i Träpriset 2020 och är en mycket duktig arkitekt med en stark analytisk förmåga och läser byggnader väldigt snabbt. Natasha Racki har vunnit Träpriset år 2000 och de står även bakom många hus som har tävlat i Träpriset historiskt sett. De hade 2 hus med år 2016, både Villa och Moälven och Emilsbacka. Thomas Alsmarker var likt Carmen Izquierdo med i juryn för Träpriset år 2016. Och han utmärker sig på det sättet att han är konstruktör. Petra Gipp är en arkitekt men också en konstnär och genom sitt skapande av konst och att hon sammanför konst och arkitektur med installationer och modellbyggande, mycket gips och ganska upplevelseorienterade. Och det tillför väldigt intressanta filosofiska diskussioner. Stefan är en arkitekt som vurmar väldigt mycket för träarkitekturen och kvaliteten i träarkitektur. Och 2 länder som ligger väldigt långt fram på det här området är Österrike och Schweiz. Och här har Stefan genom sina år som guide och ledare av arkitekturresor till de här länderna byggt upp en referensbank som få skådat. Jag är väldigt imponerad av juryn 2020, hur den har jobbat, hur den har diskuterat de här projekten, hur alla har kommit till tals att utse de här 12 nominerade projekten som vi får se i Träpriset 2020.
Hela juryn, eller nästan hela juryn.
All of the jury, or almost. Natasha Racki is not here. She is the 5th member, but 4 of the 5 jury members are here with us. What a pleasure to have you here. I feel like I know you to some extent because I've read through all the different nominations. Thomas Alsmarker, welcome. Carmen Izquierdo, Petra Gipp, Stefan Nyberg. You're all very welcome. All 4 of you. Are you sitting comfortably? Absolutely. because we are seated. I'm similarly seated in chairs of beautiful Swedish pine wood designed by David Eriksson. Pinso, this particular model. And as you can see, it comes in different designs. Petra, you're in one, which is a little bit in white and oil-treated, and I think we have another one there for Carmen and for mine as well. They're entirely adapted to a circular setting. It's wonderful to have you here, Petra. This thing, spending time in wooden buildings and constructions, what does it do to us? Well, wood is, of course, a material with amazing properties. It has the sensitivity, the sensuality, the tactile feeling to it in a very obvious way. It can sort of encompass the human body, creating room and space. And based on the very material, you can sculpture inner rooms, inner spaces suited to human beings. It can also intertwine with nature. It can be modeled into many different shapes and molds. And then there's the historical component, which I believe is very important, but it always comes in its own approach in a contemporary setting as well, of course. It makes it very interesting. You've put together a huge total workload of preparation. Carmen, you're the chairperson of the jury, and you'll be involved in presenting the award. What was most important for you in the nomination process? Well, I believe that when we go out and visit on site together, we want to get a proper feel for the buildings, how they fit into their context, how the special properties were integrated. And the conversation has a lot to do with the presence of wood, the impression it gives, and how wood impacted the experience that the building gave us. When it comes to presence, I know, Stefan, that there's been a great deal of traveling as part of your jury task. How many contributions did you receive? 130 in total. And then you traveled to quite a number of venues. Yes, 42 were selected out of the initial 130 contributions. We wanted to delve more into the detail. They were spread across the entire country of Sweden, so we had to split it into a number of trips. A total of 13 days over 4 different trips, on different occasions, of course, at 4 different times. So 4 different journeys across the country to 42 different projects. What a task! Thomas, I understand that you and the entire jury, you're well used to looking at drawings and CAD programs and images, and you can spot things that are not obvious to us mortals. Why was it important to experience these places physically? Well, we need to meet. You need to meet to discover our own personalities, the personalities of other people, and of buildings. If you see a picture of me, you get an impression of me. You can sort of decipher it. But if you meet me, you might have a different impression, and it's the same thing when we travel around to look at buildings. We've seen them, we've seen blueprints and drawings, we've seen pictures, but when we come out there and meet them in real life, you can get another impression, walking in through the door, opening up, coming inside the facade, having a feel for whether this is authentic and genuine. Is it surface or is it something else? And were you ever surprised? I think at some stage we were all surprised at different times compared to what we've seen on drawings and blueprints and in images and pictures, and then comparing that to what we've experienced on site. And you've surprised me too, in fact, but I'm going to tell you about that after the gala. Oh, go ahead, why don't you tell us now? No, it's sort of a cliffhanger, I'm not going to tell you yet. But I have to say that I have been very touched. I was moved reading the nominations and the way you had worded them. I'm very attentive to and sensitive to words and choice of words and the way you express yourself as a jury. It's virtually poetry to me. And I'm curious, who is it amongst you? Is the writer? Is it you, Petra? No, this truly is a collaborative process. We're all involved in the drafting and the writing, and it's been a truly enriching process through our conversations and through our writing, so spoken and written language. We've been able to approach the projects, the materials, the venues, the locations, and it's very nice to hear that you perceive it as poetry, but to me, there's something about wood which gives this sensitivity. It's almost as if the language can land in a world of poetry. But I'm very happy to hear that it moved you and that you responded in that way. Yes, it's sort of opened up architecture to me. And so Karin Boye, the poet, has a competitor now in the Wood Award jury, I think is fair to say. Carmen, you are the one who's going to be opening the golden envelope in a little while. When you do that in around 9:30 or so this evening, is there anything that you would like to convey, a message to all the nominees? Yes, I would like to congratulate all the nominees on behalf of all of us in the jury. These are magnificent creations, regardless of size, well worth taking note of. It's with great pride that we are finally here to promote and celebrate these extraordinary contributions. So congratulations to all of you. Yes, everyone is really a winner. They all will be bringing a small horse trophy home, but only one laureate will be bringing home the actual trophy when it's taken off its pedestal here. And the 100,000 kroner, of course, and eternal glory and fame, as we heard earlier. With these words, thank you for now to the jury, because it is now time to enter into the actual contest. The 12 nominees can be found in 4 or 5 different categories, and we're going to begin with the one which is entitled Houses and Holiday Homes. Historically, this is the category homes, houses and holiday homes is the category where we've received the most contributions. It's changing, and T.S. touched upon this in his introductory remarks, but this is the category we're going to begin with, and we have 4 nominees. And the very first one that we're going to introduce to you is Villa Idun-Lee. Here we go.
Villa Idun-Lee ligger i ett skogslandskap i en ganska så kraftig slänt. Och när man kommer fram så ankommer man från gatusidan och möts av en byggnad som ser ganska så gåtfullt och spännande ut i och med sin utformning med det väckta taket, men ganska så stängt ut i en första sikt. Men sen börjar man röra sig runt den och då får man ett helt annat upplevelse då huset började öppna sig mot utsikten och den delen av tomten som man vistas med på. Villa Idun-Lee är en blandning mellan en prefabricerad system för ytterväggar och platsbyggda lösningar. Den här är en otroligt finbearbetad lärkfasad och även en väldigt spännande platsbyggd parti mot tomten. När man väl kommer in så känner man av det slutande landskapet i och med trappringen i golvet. Och man ser genom en mittkärna som är murad och tung genom vissa öppningar som är spännande utplacerade ser man ut i skogstomten.
Per Nadén och Anton Kolbe. Det är ni som är arkitekterna bakom Villa Idun-Lee.
Anton Kolbe, the architects behind Idun-Lee. Hi, and congratulations for the nomination. Thank you. What does it feel like to watch this little film? It was so nice. Yes, and a lot of sunshine. That was nice. What is your relationship to wood? Well, talking about this project, this was actually our first project using wood. And that means that this villa has been very special. And we work in a different way with the wood. And as a matter of fact, looking at the interior of this villa, we have a lot of wooden objects there as well. And wood, what does it do to us? Well, there's something. And wood, even if it's a very refined piece of wood, you can see that each square centimeter is different from the one next to it. So you feel that this is something that has had a life. And it's warm and nice and soft. I do believe a lot in the surface of wood with the fibers and the direction of the fiber. And here you have larch in the facade. How come? Well, it's good for the exterior. And that because it can withstand weather, wind, and that was the main reason for choosing it, I guess. We understood from this little film that this is a choice you have made, that you partly use prefabricated modules, but other things have been built on site. And what was the thinking there? Well, there is a certain systematic to how the house is built. We tried to go back to traditional building with wood, and there we also wanted to work with, well, developing the facade and also the interior detail. And then it's easy to work with prefab, because, well, you have those measurements that you have for the various elements that you can piece together. Do you have any contact with the people who live in this villa? Do you know if they like it? Well, every day, yes, because they have been very important for the project. They have been involved in driving the project, coming with ideas, and also in bringing the process forward. Is that good or bad? No, it's very, very good, because we've had a true collaboration, and they seem to be very happy, and it works. And we also had this concrete slab for a studio, and that is, as a matter of fact, something we're discussing now, whether that should be built in the same manner, because the idea was to have this linked to the main villa. And we did build quite a lot on site with the kitchen, etc., and also furniture. And we had an expectation that they would add furniture, but many of the things that we built from the beginning actually work. So now, even after quite a few years, it's very much the same. And a dream for an architect, and another dream might be to win this Wood Award. Is that an expectation? I see that you have something behind you. It looks like you're celebrating. Well, maybe too soon. Best of luck. We're hoping for the best project to win, and that was Idun-Lee. Best of luck to you.
Ja, ni kan tro att jag har haft en trevlig dag när jag har
I have had such a nice day. I've gotten to talk to all these nominees, and it's been great, wonderful to get to know these individuals. And we're going to learn more about the projects now. We're going to move to Bohuslän, where we have Späckhuggaren, the killer whale, like a red exclamation mark.
Jag tycker att Späckhuggaren är fantastiskt fint placerad på sin plats. Det är ett projekt som är ett tydligt avtryck av vår tid, men som ändå talar med de omkringliggande byggnaderna, omkringliggande miljöerna. En byggnad som tar ansats i gamla magasinsbyggnader, knuttimrade magasinsbyggnader, obehandlade, orörda inuti och med fader rödfärg på utsidan. Här har vi knutar som inte är resultatet av knuttimring men som tar upp det formspråket. Tycker jag är elegant gjort i en så här modern byggnad. Det är en kontrast då till insidan som inte är målad alls. Ingenting är målat där och där finns moderna byggmaterial som fanerträ, masonit, plywood, men obehandlat. Egentligen precis som det gamla magasinet var.
Då säger jag välkommen till
And then I say welcome to Andreas Lyckefors and Johan Olsson from Bornstein and Lyckefors Architects in Gothenburg. Hi. Hi. Hi and welcome to the Wood Award Gala. And your immediate reaction after having seen this film? Well, it was great. We've never seen it documented just like this before, so that was a new angle and, well, gives you a bit of insight into what life can be like. And you also got to hear a bit from the members of the jury. Yes, and that was a very nice description of the links between the inside and the exterior, and we really like that a lot. Let's begin with the exterior. It's painted in red, the Falu red paint, and the interior is untreated. And yes, I think that the jury member explained that in a very good manner, because we needed to keep an eye on what was in the surrounding, because we wanted this to fit into the local surrounding, and there were a number of warehouses there, and that the aesthetics was actually important also for the municipality, and we tried to turn that into architecture and do as much as we could, really, to keep that simplicity with the open spaces and the link to the surrounding landscape. And the red paint, well, the red paint from the paint manufacturer, Falu, that was another way through which we could have that link to the old traditional buildings, stables, for example, and that was a simple way to make that connection. I'm not a biologist, but the killer whales, they're black and white, aren't they? So how come you have that name? Well, that's a long story, but to make it short, this is a boat, a Danish boat, and the customer, Kalle, as a matter of fact, had been inspired by how you work with boat interiors, where you work with confined spaces. And we talked about that, and we basically talked about this as well, making a boat where you try to get as much as you can from every square meter. And that was the link to the killer whales. It has nothing to do with the animal as such. Quite a stretch, but anyway, an optimized building. And this person, Kalle, he's a father of two, and he's moved into this house, if I've understood things correctly. Well, he was a father of two, now a father of three. And he was a single father when we started the project, but that has changed. He's married to Stephanie, and they have a child together, so things are busy in the house. And the optimization, it still works with a bigger family. Yes, definitely. And we did design this as a complex, a series of volumes, so we could add to this a guest house, which is now also being used. and it's in the same style, and I think that works quite well for them. And I think this is kind of exciting because you have these half floors, and that makes it seem bigger than it is. So it actually works even for this bigger family. And that is what you can really do, you architects. You can think about these details that the rest of us can't. A big congratulations for the nomination. What will you do if you win? Then we'll celebrate with some white wine and shrimp. Thank you, and the best of luck. And I hope that you'll get to celebrate. Thank you. Thank you.
Vi håller ju Träprisgalan
live
live från
at the
Berns
Wood Award Gala. This is live from Berns in Stockholm. And we're now going to visit the next nominee, and we do not have to travel very far, just to the Stockholm archipelago. We're going to move over to Studio Södersvik.
Enkelhet och rumslighet är de två ord som spontant kommer till mig när jag tänker på Ateljé Södersvik. En enkelhet i att inte använda något annat än naturligt sågat virke och att sätta ihop detta på en egentligen gammalt, med gamla metoder, gammalt sätt. Och att i princip har rummet fått sin rymd, sin geometri utifrån vad trämaterialet i sig gör möjligt. Och vi lever i en tid när vi tar ut väldigt mycket, alldeles för mycket av jordens resurser, och att använda trä är ju ett smart sätt eftersom det är cirkulärt, men att också använda trä smart. Och här har man då använt trä utan att, ja, som det är helt enkelt.
Anders Johansson och Ruben Albertsson, välkomna till Träprisgalan.
Welcome to the Wood Award Gala. Thank you. I get the impression that you are in a wooden environment. You don't happen to be at Södersvik, perhaps? Yes, we're here in the house. Of course we are. Yes, of course. Wonderful. What is the smell where you're sitting right now? There's a scent of wood in here. And this is because we were working with a good bit of pine wood yesterday. And that's the main material, isn't it? No, it's actually spruce. Oh, and a bit of pine. And so you're both architects, but Ruben, you're also a joiner originally, if I'm correctly informed. And Anders, you and Anya, you're the ones working out of Södersvik. You're sort of commissioned this by yourselves and you live there. Tell me a bit more. This is a very particular, unique project, isn't it? Well, we've tried out a number of different things that you can allow yourself to do if you are going to be the user of something. But one of the most important points when you're living and working in the same, not just the same house, but the same room. This is a very large room. You can play badminton or do homework or listen to music or design or build. So it's sort of a workshop of life, if that's not too poetic, if you'll allow me. Yes, of course. And so, where does this take you? What creative processes do you end up with? Well, it's sort of a personality shift. You end up living in a very comfortable style. It's a country, rural environment. It's easy to just open up the doors and step outside. It's liberating, in fact. Ruben, I must ask you, you are a joiner by trade, and you're sort of in close encounter furniture with this material, whether it's pine or spruce. What happens, according to people who live quite far away from materials, from manufacturing? They're thinking about removing woodworking crafts from the school curriculum. How can you understand materiality? Well, I think you're taking great risks if you proceed along that path. I don't know about the approach in schools for the future. I don't know what that's going to entail, but I know that I moved on. I was the only one so far. I was the first one, rather, to graduate from tertiary education. My brother and my father based their entire careers on their amazing grades in woodwork. Well, I had fairly good grades too, but I was able to progress, and it's worrying, that it's troubling to see what's happening in schools right now. But you have this love and passion for wood. Thank you very much, and best of luck to both of you and to Anya, who is normally there as well. Best of luck this evening. Thank you.
Och där lämnar vi Stockholms skärgård.
Here we're going to move away from the archipelago of Stockholm again and continuing with the final nominee in the category of homes and or houses and holiday homes. We're going to continue down to Linköping, and I believe there is a mother living in this particular house. Let's have a look.
De här bilderna visar ju verkligen kopplingen mellan den mindre volymen och de stora volymerna. Och också hur den är inpassad i den här kontexten. Och väldigt mycket är ju att det faktiskt uppstår också väldigt personliga och intima rum kring volymen. För att det skulle ju lätt kunna vara så att man tänker att det bara drunknade i ett helt annat landskap. Men det är tydligt att det skapas fina rumsligheter runt hela volymen. Att den liksom inte har en fram- och en baksida, utan att det runt om finns det de här alldeles speciella små platserna. Och det är också ju tydligt med materialen invändigt, hur fint de liksom samverkar. Och också det här att de faktiskt får vara precis de material som de är. Att där finns ingen tanke eller ambition, i alla fall när jag läser projektet, att man har valt liksom att dölja det på något sätt eller att göra det till någonting annat. Utan de får vara precis det de är.
Björn Forsberg, Mikael Ling, välkomna hit. Ni är med från Malmö.
Welcome. You're with us from Malmö, where you have your architect firm. That is correct. And thank you for having us. Well, it's great fun to have you here. And House for Mother, I guess that this is a home of a mother. That is correct. This was designed as a home for my mother. Oh, your mother. And you're too old to live with your mother, right? So you do not live there. Well, this is not the house that I grew up in, but I've now had a chance to, well, get to know the project in a different way than, well, what you usually do. So it's great to be able to come back to the project that often, to see it again with new eyes. A very personal project, the most personal project you have ever built and designed. Correct. It was also our first project. So we started with something that was close and then, so to say, expanded from there. And talking about your office, well, I do understand that you love wood, because I've looked at your other projects as well, and I see that wood really dominates what you do. How come? Well, it is true, and we really appreciate this material. You can show it and show it as it is. And we've talked about that earlier today, that wood has something you can relate to. You have worked with wood, perhaps in woodworking class in school, and a material that you're used to. And this was also something that the jury liked, the way you account for the material and that it's honest, it's the pure naked wood. And that seems to be a good thing if you want to become a nominee to the award. Well, that wasn't really the original thought that we had, but that was definitely one of the most important ideas of the project already from the start. We wanted to work with wood as a visible element, and we wanted to have the surfaces speaking for themselves. We didn't want to hide them behind gypsum or colors or paint, but we wanted the wood and the surfaces to be themselves. We wanted to highlight the materials and not cover anything. I have to say that this location is very special as well. It's in between other bigger buildings. That is correct. And it's kind of exciting that there were two different phases. And from the beginning, well, this was the idea that it should be there, crammed in between other buildings, and it was designed with these closed surfaces towards the neighbors, because you have these small plots, and that means that it has been crammed in between these bigger buildings, and that was really one of the prerequisites that we had, and we tried to create as much space as we could around the building. Björn Forsberg, Mikael Ling, best of luck. Perhaps I'll see you later tonight, and say hello to your mother from me.
Ja, det var kategorin villor och fritidshus.
That was the category of houses and holiday homes. And what these four have in common, these nominees, is that they're very clearly displaying themselves in their materials. And this was something the jury wanted to favor. We'll see if this is a trend for the other nominees as well, perhaps. However, first, we're going to widen the perspective somewhat. In the introduction, Trendstefan told us about how Swedish Wood works with a very broad approach and a broad agenda, and so they also have international collaborations. They have agents, perhaps you could say, abroad, internationally, and now we're going to cross the border beyond Sweden to have an international approach. And it is brought to you from France this evening. And in Paris, at the well-reputed firm Architects, we have architect Stephen Ware. Bienvenue. Welcome, Stephen.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Your Royal Highness. Stephen Ware from Art and Build Architects calling in from Paris. With the Swedish Wood Awards, you'll be celebrating the creative talents of some superb architects. You'll be immersed in some extraordinary projects and designs, and you'll also be celebrating the enormous potential of wood and its positive impact on our environment, both aesthetic and ecological. I mean that as both a biologist and an architect. Timber is one of those rare natural resources that is both good for the planet and good for the soul. The demand for timber in architecture in France is exponential at the moment. And it is this extraordinary fusion of aesthetics and ethics which wood offers, which is driving this demand. Here in France, we'll be watching these awards very closely, because as an industry, we need to share our experiences in timber design in order to move forward. Every project is a prototype for the architecture which this century requires. Timber is a ray of light in these dark times for the environment. I raise my glass to your health and to the health of the planet.
Thank you very, very much, Stephen Ware. Timber is a ray of light, and strimma ljus I
It is a ray of light in the darkness. That was very inspiring and hopeful. Very nice to get some international good for the planet and good for the soul, he also mentioned. And I'd like to remind you, everyone, about the chat. I think Stephen Ware, if he's not doing anything else while he's waiting to see who the winner is, might also join the chat to type away on the keyboard. Any language is fine. We'll be able to interpret anything that you write, Swedish or English. So do get in touch. We'd be very happy to hear from you. That was our international guest. Thank you so much. Now it's time to introduce a new category. We've come to the category entitled Infrastructure and Industry. Now, we're getting into somewhat larger volumes, and we're going to head up to a bus stop in Umeå in the north, first of all.
Vasaplan är en robust och välartikulerad struktur som delar upp en befintlig trafikplats i 2 tydliga gaturum. Men den också bidrar till att det blir en värdig entré till staden. Strukturen är ganska mystisk i sitt uttrycksform i min mening, eftersom den har ju både någon slags lätthet i sig och samtidigt har ju väldiga dimensioner och en kraft av den där tyngden. Jag upplever som den har en otroligt fin naturljusföring genom den upprepning av balkar som sker längs med strukturen. Ljuset trillar liksom igenom de här upprepade balkarna och faller hela vägen ner in i där människorna väntar. Förutom naturljuset som är otroligt fint bearbetat i strukturen så är även nattljusbelysningen väldigt vackert inarbetad. Den är ju samordnad med stommen så att den är komplett osynligt. Det ser ut som om balkarna svävar. Det finns någonting väldigt spännande när en struktur lyckas sammanväva flera skalor, och det tycker jag den här strukturen gör. Det finns en skala för staden, en skala för transporten och en skala för människan.
Hej, Gert Wingård!
Gert Wingård, hello. Hello, Lee. How are you? I'm fine, thanks. It looks a lot brighter where you are here than we see outside Berns. It's very dark. Well, I'm at a brighter place, moving westward, and you'll find the brightness. It's all live. No. I should tell you that this is pre-recorded, as many of these interviews with the nominees, of course. Now, tell me honestly, how often do you travel by bus? Oh, very rarely. I think it's probably airport buses more so, and maybe a study trip, but regular bus transportation is not something I've done in a long time. Well, isn't it good that you've had an architect colleague at the firm who've traveled perhaps more by bus in Vasaplan, perhaps? Oh, do you think so? I'm not so sure. Well, you never can tell for sure. What do we know about people who travel by bus or wait to catch a bus at Vasaplan? What do they think about this place? Well, I don't think I know very much about that either, I have to say. But I traveled a lot by tram in Gothenburg, and of course you know that weather varies greatly, and so you'd like to be sheltered and protected, and that's a very important component. And then there's a complex situation, of course, where the buses are quite high. You need to allow for at least 3-4 meters so that they don't crash into the top of the structure. That was one of the challenges. I wanted it to be possible to add additional roofing further down, if necessary, additional coverage. So the beam structure has more than, well, it has 2 components. I don't think you've had to add anything in addition, but we put some thought into that. And so the cold winters in County Västerbotten, is that something which requires anything in particular of the beams and the wood? No, I think it's perfectly fine. But there's, of course, a heating of the seats. I know that we've looked a bit extra to look at whether we should shift from from wood to stone because we need to look at the insulation of heat. So we didn't get quite the effect out of the seating. But I think that's probably the only Västerbotten component I'm not entirely familiar with in that respect. Now, there's a mention by the jury of some mysterious feel to this. What are they referring to? Well, I doubt they're referring to Vasaplan, really, because this is a protective roof, very clearly designed. It has with a primary, secondary, and tertiary level of in the structures. It's very, very clear what we've done here. And do you like to win? Yes, it's about 200% or so. I hate losing. That's just the way it is. Okay. And so if you do lose tonight, what's going to happen this evening? How will you spend your evening? Oh, I'm not entirely sure, but surely that's not possible. I'm a winner. I'm sure you will get that. Well, we'll have to wait and see then. We have crown princesses and whatnot joining us later, so best of luck, Nya Nibble Gård. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Kategorin infrastruktur och industri har
The category infrastructure and industry has one additional nominee in its category, and we're going to move to well-known anthroposophy grounds in Sörmland County, to Järna, where happy cows are living the high life, literally speaking.
Nya Nibble var en glad överraskning för så, i och för sig var det lite väl mörkt när vi kom dit och man hade gärna velat sätta i mer dagsljus. Utifrån ser det ut som en knubbig kåk, vilket det är. Men det var ju mer magiskt när vi kom in i den och såg vilka härliga rumsligheter de hade, de här djuren. Och så det var skönt att se ett annorlunda sätt att bygga för djur som utgår från djuren på ett bra sätt. Och i och för sig så har man ju sett svenska ladugårdar och sånt tidigare där de står var och en för sig. Men det här verkar som att man tyckte just den här rörelsefriheten, och de kunde ju välja mellan att vara ute och inne. Och sen så mitt i allt så fanns det tekniska supportutrustningar och allting. Så det var en fröjd att se huset där. Och vi hoppas ju då att det ska inspirera till att man fortsätter jobba åt det hållet. En basilika för djur.
En basilika för djur, en glad överraskning hörde vi också att jurymedlemmen sa här som det första han faktiskt sa.
A pleasant surprise we heard from the member of the jury, and this is a great surprise for me to see this many of you representing the project. We have Jan-Erik Laurin from the Nibble Foundation, welcome. We have Michael Peach from the architect's firm carrying your name, and we also have Frida Öster and Carolina Wikström from Asante Architecture and Design. Welcome to all of you. Great to have you here, all of you. Michael, on your website we see the following quote: "For all projects at any scale, great design for us means caring for the people we're building for." And, well, perhaps you should extend that sentence so that you include the cows as well. What do you think? Well, yes, well, but they already said that the intention we had was to build a cathedral for cows. We actually did. Well, I guess I'll have to change that quote. I'll do that. And Jan-Erik, the cows, are they aware of this fantastic situation they're in? Absolutely. I'm convinced that they do know, because they can move in and out, and we see them forming little herds, and they also get to keep their calves with them for a longer time. We only sell the milk that is left after that. You represent the Nibble Foundation, and this is one leg that you're standing on with the farm. But you have other things as well that you do, right? Well, the Nibble Foundation has a long history going back to the 1960s, and I've been on the board of the foundation for some 20-30 years. And we needed to build this new building because the old one actually was destroyed through fire, a fire that was set by someone. And it's great fun that we now have this building looking into the future, where we have many of the requests for animal welfare that have been included. And the foundation, well, we want to work long term. Of course, we need to manage the finances as well, but we have the cows, and we also have arable land, and we also have an upper secondary school with some 30 students, and most of them actually live here as well. And they get to learn about organic farming. The building is a big volume. Are there any particular requirements when you have animals being the users? Well, we felt it was obvious that we had to use wood, because it is a material that can withstand a lot if you use it correctly. And that is also reflected in the building, the exterior, where we used specific materials to cover the facade, and we also have the concrete foundation to protect from moisture, and we have been using oil for the more exposed parts. Carolina, what would it feel like to win? Well, of course, it would be great fun, but we're happy and honored to be one of the nominees, and we hope that this will serve as an example for the future. Cows need beautiful architecture as well, and that's actually included in what we have from the jury, that perhaps this will become a new trend to build like this. Imagine that. Let's hope. Well, best of luck, and we'll see if we'll get to talk later on as well. I'll keep my fingers crossed for you, and we'll see if we talk again. Bye.
Det där var kategorin infrastruktur
That
och
was the
industri.
category infrastructure and industry, and whoops, we're halfway through. And what about the chat? Well, lots of activities in the chat room. And what do people have to say? Well, there's a lot of praise, people talking about how nice the projects are. And we also have a lot of positive feedback on the new wooden horse, and that makes us really happy as well. And also these nice new chairs that we have behind me. People like them as well. So, a lot of interest out there, and Kajsa says that it seems like we have a very good, stable jury. I do believe that that is correct. And then we have Fredrik from Lund, and he has a very topical comment. He says that, well, this is a house where it would be nice to work from home. And maybe he wasn't talking about Nibble, the farm, or the bus stop. But anyway, and then you have a question. So we have a question for you as well, and that's Anki in Järna. And she is asking if you had to replace one of these nominations, which one would it be? Well, Anki, no. I think that amateurs like you and me, we should not interfere. We have this good, stable jury, and the experts should make these decisions. Well, I'm going to send you off stage again because you're busy with the chat, and we are going to continue with our next category. And I think we will very soon. We're going to continue with a category named apartment blocks. And I think we'll have the introduction here.
Det här är ju verkligen när man kommer här genom skogen och får den här otroliga flätningen liksom mellan de här byggnadsvolymerna och skogen är ju verkligen typiskt för det här projektet. Och likadant den här ribbfasaden då som är så tydlig. Och man verkligen ser här håller ihop projektet. Samtidigt som man ju har nyanserat och detaljerat fina gårdar, mindre gårdar ut mot naturen. Så man får ju liksom också ta sig ut där och faktiskt uppehålla sig på den sidan. Det är inte bara som en vägg. Och likadant invändigt så kan man ju se det här hur de inre rummen hela tiden är del av naturreservatet. Och man ser också de här olika höjderna som är på i skogen och liksom de här bergdagen samtidigt med trappsekvenserna inomhuset. Det finns någon liksom, man tar upp någonting av det yttre in i det inre. Och man ser också väldigt tydligt här på de här bilderna ju den här gatan som man liksom lever sitt liv kring, som är så otroligt fin.
Thomas Lauri. Vem är du?
Thomas Lauri.
Hey,
hello, who are you?
Architect.
Hello, Lee. I'm an architect. I designed modet. I'm the architect in charge. And there's a total of 3 people in addition to myself, Jan Perin, Alex Mark, and Mats Karlsson. Together with me. We are our club. Congratulations to all of you for being nominated. Modet is the name of the location where these 12 terraced houses are located. Yes, unless I'm mistaken, I believe that this is the name given to the plot of land by the municipality, the local authorities, in fact. And that's where we have got this name. It's a beautiful name, meaning the courage in Swedish. Now, I haven't been to Bagarmossen outside Stockholm, but it looks like a beautiful spot next to the nature reserve. Tell me about this site, and what were the preconditions for building here? Well, this is a very particular project. It's a unique one for us because we initiated this originally. And my colleague Jan, we were out scouting for sites. We ended up here, and quite quickly it occurred to us that this would be a beautiful place to add an additional project of houses. We were thinking small individual houses, but this site had something quite magical. So to have the initiative coming out of a firm of architects is not that common. You usually have builders commissioning, right? No, it's not. It doesn't happen that way always. This is almost, this dates back almost 10 years, of course. It was quite unusual back then. Things have happened since. Things have evolved. Initiatives are taken by architects. You have site viewings with the architects. Go out and have a look. But we decided that we really wanted to build something there. We made contact with the local authorities. We initiated the project after providing blueprints and drawings to the municipalities, and we realized that we needed a builder as well. And so we made some contacts, got in touch, but we were involved from the beginning to the very end. You had the courage, as it were. Yes. When you look at this, when you see the video, there are different levels and double stairs and half floors. Tell me about the layout. It looks really interesting. Yes, of course, as you say, it's a beautiful spot. You don't want to ruin it in any way by killing it in positioning a building there, just dropping it. You want to add value, making the most of the inherent qualities. And so this building consists of the street in the municipality of Bagarmossen, in the just outside Stockholm, in Bagarmossen, and it's a nature reserve just next to it. So it's sort of a gateway into the nature reserve, you could say, these terraced houses, with the street on the other side. And we wanted these terraced houses to open up to that particular location, the site where we had discovered a venue where you can move between different elevations and in different ways. We have a particular solution when it comes to the indoor stairs, but everything came out of the original feeling we discovered when we went there on site, and we wanted to bring it with us into the interior design of the terraced houses. So we started on site more so than looking at other buildings or structures nearby. It was the site, the plot of land. So these are very much designed and elaborated from the site. And you have been chosen as one of the nominees. It's like wandering through pine wood, you've described this project. And I think many are inclined to agree with you. Best of luck for your contribution. And we'll see if we get a chance to talk again in a few moments, a little bit later this evening. Thank you.
Det är så spännande det här nu. Det drar liksom ihop
This
sig.
is
Det är mycket som står på
so
spel.
exciting. There's a lot at stake, of course, not just the honor and not just the beautiful new wooden horse trophy, but 100,000 kronor, quite a lot of money as well. And I know that Matthias Fridholm, who's involved in the chat, he has a check somewhere here at Berns in Stockholm. Who's going to be the recipient of all this? Who is our winner? We'll have to wait and see. We have a few additional nominees, and in this category we have one more. We're heading to Gothenburg now, to Kville.
Kville var en rolig upptäckt också. Många av de här projekten som vi åkte och tittade på var just att de överraskar sig när man väl är på plats. Och det är ju alltså bland det viktiga då, att man får se dem på riktigt. Och det är ju så att när man går omkring här i juryn så är man ju själv en katalysator över vad man själv tycker och så. Och då poppar upp associationer. Och just detta att det här gemensamma rummen i en bostad, att det blir manifesterat och omhändertaget som man har gjort här på ett ypperligt sätt. Där bräderna då på ett enkelt sätt ger en värdighet åt en sån här gård och kanske en stolthet åt de som bor där. Och jag vet ju väldigt många österrikare som jobbar på samma sätt, att man betonar just det här gemensamma rummet. I kontrast till kanske när man försöker få ut så mycket som möjligt på kvadratmetrarna. Men det är ju en bra, om man ska då reaktivera ett hus på något sätt så blir det väl lite nytändning när man gör på det här sättet.
Välkomna tillbaka, Andreas Lyckefors och Johan Olsson.
Welcome back, Andreas Lyckefors and Johan Olsson. And now you have with you a colleague, Jenny Andersson Hövner, who has been involved as an architect. And you all come from Bornstein and Lyckefors Architects. Congratulations, the second nomination tonight. And we've also with us Martin Kogner from Peab. Congratulations to everyone. And Jenny, I have to start with you. Very nice words that we heard from the jury. I've also understood that this is smell sensation. Exactly when you work with an entire building like this, you have this distinct smell of wood. We do not know for how long it will last, but it's like stepping into a wood or a wood house in a forest. And what does it feel like for you to be this close to winning the award? You're one of the nominees. Well, that is a great honor, and we're all very happy and pleased with the project, and it's gratifying to see that others think alike. This is a building with a great contrast, comparing what you have towards the street and towards the enclosed courtyard. And it's kind of rare that you want an apartment facing the courtyard, but that is actually the case here. Exactly, and that was a bit of a challenge that we had, that we needed to work with these access balconies. So that was a challenge, but we wanted to use that challenge, and we wanted to work with vertical spaces and also social meeting places in the courtyard. And we wanted that to be a separate world that you entering into the courtyard, and we feel that that is a strength. And we have 94 apartments in the building. And Martin, this has also been certified as an environmentally friendly building. What happens there? Well, there are a number of parameters that have to be met, and you get different points for different things that you do. And this was something we started with within Peab a few years ago, that we wanted to have this SWAN certification for all projects. And this was the first one. And as I said, there are a list of parameters. You have to have recycling facilities, etc. So there are many things that can be done there. Okay, Andreas, what would it feel like? You actually have 2 chances to win tonight, and what are your thoughts? Well, I'm thinking that it's a great honor to be here in the first place. And these are really the best wooden houses in Sweden over the last 4 years. So just to be nominated, that is a victory. And of course, to win, that would be a particular honor, but we're really happy already. And you're nominated in a category where we've usually had many nominations, houses and holiday homes, but now also what is, so to say, exploding with bigger projects made of wood. Well, I hope that we'll see more of larger buildings in wood in the future. I hope that this will be a signal towards, well, the construction industry, because this is something that is up and coming, and I hope that 4 years from now we'll have many, many more big projects for apartments, but also public buildings, offices, spaces, everything basically that is to be built. I hope that we'll see more wood in the future. That is what we hope here at Berns as well. And congratulations and best of luck to all of you, and we'll see if we talk more again later.
Then
we have heard the thoughts from the jury, and we have also gotten to share the joy of the nominees in this category for apartment buildings, apartment blocks. And this is a gala where we want to celebrate the characteristics of wood, wood being an amazing building material. And here and there we talk about what will happen in the future and what will happen in the future. How will we be using wood in the future? How will we be building with wood in the future? And when talking about the future, there is one person who is very often involved in those discussions, and he's here with us tonight. Stefan Nilsson, Trendstefan, welcome up on stage. Welcome to Berns and the Wood Gala. Hi. And what is your relationship to wood?
man känner att man borde vara så där duktig och jag var ingen slöjdkille i skolan.
I think that, you have to be good and be able to work with wood. I never really liked woodworking classes, but there are so many things that you can talk about and think about. And actually we have textiles being made of wood as well. But no, I shouldn't be woodworking, Stefan. But you think that wood is exciting as a material for the future. What you do is that you look for trends and you look into the future. And how do you become an expert in the future? Well, you have to be curious and you have to feel that, well, it's okay to make mistakes, but this is something that I'm thinking about all the time, our behaviors, and I also think about dreams, what we want to do, where we want to go, where we want to be in the future. But that changes depending on what context we're in. Oh, that sounds a bit wishy-washy. That's me, I guess, but that's actually what I'm going to talk about. But I'm also going to talk about some more concrete stuff today. Have you always been thinking about the future? Well, things can be sped up or slowed down depending on what is happening with 9/11 or financial crisis, etc., the pandemic. So things might change. And beginning of 2020, I said that this was the year when everyone should be happy. And not so sure about that in December, but maybe next year. And now I'm going to hand over to you so that you can just look into the future as much as you want to for the next few minutes. Go ahead.
I've been given 5 minutes to tell you about the state of the world. Let's go. The 14th of February, Valentine's Day. That was my final day of travel this year. Just like everyone else, I've had to stay at home since. And that is really, really strange if you're a trend spotter. This is what I do. That's my job. I am permanently traveling. I go to trade fairs. I meet great people. I interview them. I discover new, exciting stuff. Go to restaurants. And now I'm just sitting at my desk at home. What happens then? Well, the trends continue to develop and change, of course. So what I'm doing as a trend spotter is that I spend a lot of time looking through reports, checking statistics, investigating. That's the trend life of 2020. What I do is I think, I reflect a lot on what's happening, all the numbers that are thrown about. Everyone's talking about working from home, the home office. How relevant is that? Well, if you look at numbers, for example, from MIT in the US, they say that 40% of the labor force in the US have desk-based jobs. The rest, nurses, pilots, cleaners, what have you. We're only talking about 40% of the working population. The rest do not work at desks. That's the sort of thing that I think about. There's Gensler Research, who've also discovered in a report that 12% of all those in the US would like to work from home. And then there are other numbers telling us that 12% would like to not go back to the old office environment, but rather work from home. So this is what I spend my time doing, looking into things like this. I also talk to my trend colleagues across the world. And what we find at sort of an overarching level is that things are moving a lot more slowly. Major features which have been introduced previously, but which have now accelerated. For example, working from home. We had to leave the offices. We didn't start doing that in 2020, though. That had already begun. So it didn't start now. There are other features such as digitalization, didn't begin in 2020 either, or anti-consumption, or moving production back home to Sweden. All of these features and phenomena started earlier, but they've accelerated. However, I've ended up with 3 main points that are really relevant and they make a difference. And they've come as a result of the pandemic. These are things that we will bring with us. 1, hygiene. It's a pandemic, after all, out there. Lots of scary germs. So we're going to be building rooms and venues, keeping all the germs outside. Architecture, homes, offices will be designed based on that feature. We'll be looking for materials that can be swiped off and cleaned easily, that won't carry any hint of bacteria. We'll talk about touchless design, faucets you don't have to touch, doors without handles, lamps with no switches, etc. What do we do with the desk spaces that we share in open office environment, or when we go to a cafe? Bacteria and germs, it's so scary. I think that the hall, where you arrive into a building will be really important. If you think about a spaceship close to Mars, up in space somewhere, and a spaceman has been outside and has to come into through the sluice before they can walk onto the rest of the spaceship, we'll have to position our mobile phone in a particular spot. We'll put our jacket in one place, shoes in another one. Kids might have their own station in this first room where you come into when you step into anywhere. That's what it's going to look like. And the kids can possibly stay there. Who knows? 2, health. This is obviously something that touches upon hygiene. But I am making the distinction nevertheless, because health is also about eating healthy, being a vegetarian. We want to have strong bodies. We've had a period now since the 14th of February, clearly, where we've been sitting on our sofas watching Netflix, eating crisps. We're going to stop all that. We're going to exercise. We're going to get back to our usual bodies, home gymming equipment. Standing around, we'll be surrounded by things that will make us feel great, strengthening us, making us stronger. How do we relate to nature? Is nature a good thing? If so, we're going to want to have more of nature around us. Not everyone thinks that this is a good thing, but I do believe that many do, after all. And we'll also talk about ergonomics from a health perspective, because we're there sitting at our kitchen tables. It's wearing down our shoulders, our backs. I read recently that Ilse Crawford now says that the new it room in a home is the bedroom. It sounds really comfy sitting there in the morning under a warm quilt with a cup of coffee next to you and a laptop on your knee, but ergonomically it's probably a disaster. And then the mental health. Point 3, therefore, is very important. We're not talking about our mental health. So loneliness is a chapter. That is my point 3. Speaking of statistics, I spoke to the Bank SEB, and almost 50% of all households in Sweden are single households with no kids. They are really lonely. They are very much solitary. They have no one to talk to. What do we do with all these people? 50% of all households in Sweden are single households without children. I believe all architecture needs to shoulder its part of the responsibility, that we meet more, that we socialize more, that we hug. How do we produce hugging-friendly architecture? And thinking about loneliness, you get features like Corona dogs. Lee, do you have a Corona dog? Lee does not have a Corona dog. I do. But that's because it is just so terribly pleasant to have a dog, to walk. It might be raining, but you say hello to your neighbor and then you come back in again. That's the future. How can we say hello more often? That's part of the future. Now, to conclude, I haven't said very much about color and design, and that's intentional because it has to take the back stage compared to functionality right now. It has the prime position. It has to be adapted to our new needs, but rest assured, there will be new aesthetics too. Of course, we can, expect fun 80s, and blue will be the new pink. Thank you. I feel terribly antiquated, I have to say. Just looking at you, you're wearing blue. I have a cat. I'm not planning to get a Corona dog. And I'm not sure about any of this. Stefan Nilsson, many, many thanks. Well, maybe next year, who knows? Maybe you'll be trendy. Well, in another century, perhaps I might be trendy. We'll see. Now it's time to move on with a new category. Now we're going to look at the category entitled Small Projects. In the category apartment blocks, we had large volumes. Now we have small buildings, and here we have two projects selected by the jury who seem to have fallen in love with them. They are both related to water in different ways. And the first one, a building intended for something which can travel across water, the kayak house, Kajakhuset.
Det här abstrakta rummet som består av trärammar som upprepas i en längd, den reste ju som i utställningsform till Venedig och Österrike. Men nu har den fått ett hem i Stockholms skärgård. Byggnaden står på speciellt utformade plint utav betong som påminner om stenar från landskapet. Det här är ju sträckts mellan slänten och vattnet och stranden. Och på det sättet så har det liksom den här dubbla riktningen inåt och utåt i det här otroligt vackra skärgårdslandskapet. Men exteriört är det här huset otroligt speciellt i och med de här grovsågade plankorna som har med sig formen av trädstammarna. Väldigt taktilt. Interiört är ju väldigt fint bearbetat och de breda plankorna utav ek som ger ett fantastiskt, också taktilt upplevelse.
Katarina Lundberg och Fredrik Berns från In Praise of Shadows Architects.
And Fredrik Berns from In Praise of Shadows Architects. Congratulations for this nomination. Thank you. What did it feel like to see the film? That was nice. Big. Nice little film. And Carmen, well, she put it beautifully. That means that the jury liked it. And this is a very special house. It has been on tour, as a matter of fact, before it ended up where it is now. Tell us. Well, it actually started at an exhibition in Milan. That was a collaboration with, amongst others, an Austrian carpenter. And it was then an indoor pavilion that then continued its tour. And once it had finished, then it was brought here. Imagine if this house would have known back then that it would be a house housing kayaks. What has been the challenge with working in such a small format? Well, the challenge always is to transform something that's a blueprint, an idea, to a good execution. And we had a very talented carpenter helping us with the frames, and we have been working throughout the process, well, with having personal contacts with different carpenters, other experts in their fields. This, that it has been an exhibition pavilion, and now it's a functional house for kayaks by the water. Does that pose any specific requirements on the wood and its characteristics, that it's that close to water? Yes, and it was a bit of a challenge with these frames, because the basic idea was to have this as well, a box that you get from IKEA, but we also had to have something that could withstand the climate and the water, and the structure that you see, well, it's mainly seen from the inside, and we wanted to create the volume. Do you paddle? kayak? Yes, definitely, absolutely. I think I'll start. I've just tried a couple of times, but this was an inspiration to see this house, and it also inspired the jury. And if you win, how will you celebrate? Well, we have planned for a little party at the office with, turkey and some other things to celebrate in a corona-safe manner with a specific distance between us. Well, we'll see if we get to see that eventually. Thank you, and the best of luck to you. The second tiny house in this category is also about water, but in a completely different way. Here we're talking about water that you drink, and preferably it should be hot. This is the tea house.
Tehuset, ja. Det var väl det projektet som jag fastnade för rätt snabbt när jag gick igenom det inlämnade materialet. För det skiljer ur sig. Det var ju väldigt litet, eller är ett väldigt litet projekt. Men det var någon väsen i det som det utstrålar redan i presentationen. Och jag minns inte riktigt hur det var, men några av oss i juryn var i alla fall angelägna om att det måste vara med. Och det kanske inte var alla då i början, men efter att vi väl genomfört 2 besök så tror jag nog att alla tog till sig den här lilla skapelsen. Och såg omsorgen som var nedlagt. Och för mig så tyckte jag då att äntligen så får man börja förstå vad begreppet ma kan betyda. Det japanska begreppet om pausens betydelse. Och här var ju en gestaltad pausplats där man kan sitta och se när ens grödor växer och njuta av en kopp te.
Hallå. Hej, välkommen till Träpriset-galan.
Hi, and welcome to the Wood Award Gala. Well, thank you. We're celebrating here at Berns, and you are the creator of the smallest entry amongst the nominees. How much tea do you actually drink in a given week? Not all that much. I actually drink more coffee than tea. Oh, but you created the tea house in Bulltofta outside of Malmö. How did you come up with this idea? Well, tea house as a concept, that is quite a broad concept, and it's a small room in nature. And that was the starting point. I wanted to create that little room. There aren't too many tea houses in Sweden, right? But you've been to Japan a number of times, just a few times. And I truly love Japanese culture and architecture and the Japanese spirit. And this location, Bulltofta, and this little garden, was this obvious that it would be here, this tea house? Well, it was an opportunity that arose. I live with my family in an apartment in Stockholm, and there's only limited opportunity, but we have this little allotment where you are allowed to erect a small building. And the neighbors, what do they think? Well, they like it. Do they sneak in and then all of a sudden you find someone there? I found traces of people who've been there, but they've behaved. But this is inviting, and it's something that invites for a pause, and the jury was enticed, I've understood. Could you ever imagine that you would be one of the nominees for the Wood Award? No, that was a bit of a shock, as a matter of fact, but I'm very happy. And if you and I meet in a few minutes again, because you're the winner, then how will you be celebrating? I guess it has to be with a cup of tea. Okay. Thank you, and thank you, Göran, for being with us from Malmö, and the best of luck. Those were the two contributions in the category small projects, two projects that the jury liked. And of course, the jury will be the one determining who will be the winner of this beautiful big wooden horse. Everyone, all these projects that we've seen, they'll get a smaller version of the horse, which is a nice thing as well. But now we're going to continue with the next category. Which means that we're now going to look at public buildings and facilities. This is the category where we, every Tom, Dick and Harry, all of us, can visit. And the first of these projects, that is, as a matter of fact, a landscape hotel.
Orbaden, det är ju rätt så kul att man vitaliserar just det här med campingen och med det här, det var någon gård där nere man kunde hyra in sig på. Och sen så hade man då möjlighet att ta någon natt där uppe på vid ett utsiktstorn som också då understryker liksom skönheten i landskapet. Man kan sitta där och njuta och till och med njuta av en färsk pilsner från något lokalt bryggeri. Själv tyckte jag väl först när jag såg det att det påminner mer om ett uppiffat typ älgjaktstorn. Men sen när man kommer närmare och ser precisionen i själva byggandet och omsorgen som finns kring allting och som understryker det här att vara just på den platsen och njuta av det, den övernattning man har där uppe och med möjlighet att gå upp och blicka över ett landskap. Även om det regnar så funkar ju den delen där också.
På er i Orbaden.
Hello in Orbaden. Hanna Mikkelsen, Staffan Mikkelsen and Anders Jonsson are with us. Hello. Hello everyone. Good evening. And congratulations being nominated. Thank you. Orbaden. For those who haven't been there, where is this located? It's in between Bollnäs and Järvsö, in the middle of the heart of beautiful Hälsingland. And in that heartland, you've decided to build a landscape hotel in an abandoned ski slope of all places. It sounds a bit insane. Tell us more. Well, crazy ideas can sometimes be the very best ones. A landscape hotel, can anyone check in here? Yes. Anyone at all. You should preferably be prepared to go for a hike up the hill, but you can drive almost all the way. But it is at its most beautiful if you walk up, if you hike up, and you stay there like a hotel room in the middle of the forest in a beautiful setting. Hannah, are you fit enough? Yes. Well, I think I've lost a bit of fitness during the pandemic, but oh, that sounds familiar. But it sounds as if you have to be reasonably fit to get not just up the slope, but up the stairs. Tell me more. What would you like the visitor to experience when they come in here? Hannah? Let me put it this way. When we first came to this location, we didn't have any thoughts really along these lines. My dad, who had purchased the site, the slope, as a forest, as a piece of forest land, and I came along and I saw the extraordinary view. It's really striking, together with the beautiful landscape, the scenery generally. And it was just a crazy thought, a wild thought, to build a house there. So from the very outset, it was based on nature, the location, and the view. So that's what we'd like people to experience. Now, I also feel that when you build a house in Sweden, well, I don't know, but there's this fear of being exposed to nature and the weather. You want it to be warm and comfy at all times. I wanted to make this a more exposed situation, a more exposed setting where you truly experience nature, and that was probably part of what we were aiming for. Stefan, have you had any international guests? Oh, yes. One of the first flew in from Los Angeles and stayed in the loft house for 2 nights and then flew back home again. Euphoric, in fact, thrilled with the experience. They had snowshoes even. Anders, I'm not sure if you can help me, but there are a few things that I've noted here, which, as a layman, I'd like you to explain them. A diffusion, open construction. What does that mean? Well, this is what Hannah and I have discussed before we started construction. And I wanted to build the way you did earlier, no plaster, and we wanted to do it the way people used to do, so that it could breathe, finding materials that are breathable. So there is breathing throughout this building with the materials. It's not going to end up resulting in smells in the walls or any of those new features. And it's impossible not to notice the bear behind you. Can you sort of off-topic explain to us what the story is of that bear? Well, there's not much to say. A bear who crossed a field out there somewhere, and we do hunt for bear a bit. But my partner, actually, she shot a bigger one than I did. But so there's hunting and there's fishing, and it's wonderful when you get a chance to build something like this. Sometimes you don't see what's around you. But it is really, truly beautiful around here. Well, I grew up in Skåne, in the south of Sweden. I think I probably have to come and visit Urbad, and I really get that distinct impression. Now, if you win tonight, how are you going to celebrate? You probably have a good plan. Yes. We have an expensive bottle of champagne and a cheap one. We'll have the expensive one if we win. Perhaps it should be the other way around. Perhaps you need to comfort yourselves if you don't win. Well, we'll just have to wait and see. This is so exciting. Best of luck from the Loft House. Perhaps we'll be in touch a little bit later this evening. Thank you.
Billig eller dyr champagne? Ja,
so cheap or expensive champagne? Difficult questions to resolve during the Wood Award Gala. It's sort of traveling across the country. Now we're going from Urbaden, Älvdalen down to Sundbyberg, not far from Stockholm. And this is the final nominee, the final contribution of the award. We're going to a cemetery.
I den här kyrkogårdspaviljongen så tycker jag att man har tagit det moderna träbyggandet ett snäpp till. Inte minst när det gäller precisionen i utförandet, i detaljerna och hur man har använt olika moderna träelement. Massivträ, kuggolvet, limträ, plywood finns använt. Sen är det ju rum, det är ett samlingsrum som man gärna stannar kvar i. Ett samlingsrum som man mycket väl kan tänka är ett fantastiskt rum att vara i synnerhet för det syfte som den här paviljongen är till för. Möta människor i sorg.
Hej igen, Gert Wingård.
Hello again, Gert Wingård. You have been nominated in 2 categories. This was in public buildings and facilities. Yes, it's extraordinary. And you enjoy winning. How do you feel now? Well, it's hard to imagine that you will have 2 losses. I don't know if 2 winnings are possible too. Well, you get 2 small horses, but there's only 1 trophy for the winner, of course. Now, jokes aside, this is a place for people in mourning, of course. How do you relate to that as an architect? What's your approach? Well, I would put it like this. The building is for the people who work there in particular. It is where they go to work on a daily basis. It's really more about how you manage the continued existence of a burial site, of a grave, etc. It's a fairly large complex, and it has to fit into a small-ish area in the cemetery. So we wanted to try and camouflage the building. It's made in glass to some extent. It reflects the grounds. It has the green elements as a chameleon, making it blend into the venue. And at the same time, it's almost like an emerald in a winter setting. Thank you, Gert Wingård. It's not obvious, of course, that this is about wood. There's green glazed surfaces, for example, with the reflection. It's only when you step inside that you realize how much wood is being used there. Yes, there's a lot of wood here. There are challenges in maintenance, and the biggest enemy of wood is water, perhaps. So if we want to have a future in wood construction, I think we will see a lot of wood on the inside of constructions, but perhaps a little bit less on the outside and the surface. And in that sense, this is a very modern wooden building. We have a lot of glass. It is easy to maintain. That is the surface you meet first. So I think this is setting the pace, the course for many wood construction projects in the future. That's interesting. What about wood construction generally in the future? How do you look at that? Well, I'm convinced that it's going to take over many categories. At our firm, we made a decision that we will make proposals for wood constructions in all our projects, more or less, up to 8, 9 floors even, 9 stories could be done in wood. It can be a little bit more expensive occasionally, but as the experience is gained, prices will start to drop as it matures in the market. And there are CO2 equivalents in the footprint. The greenhouse gases will reduce if we use wood, not just in the structure, but in all of the construction. And there is plaster and glass, etc. If you can do half of it with a wooden structure, is something we've shown that it is possible to do. More so than, for example, concrete. You can work to reduce CO2 and greenhouse gas emissions. Thank you. This is going to conclude the presentation of all the nominees. Thank you very much. The material of the future is clearly wood. My hat off for wood. And we agree with you. Adios.
Då har vi fått se alla dessa fantastiska 12 nomineringar.
Amazing 12 nominations. And Matthias, what is being said in the chat? Well, Stephen, we met him earlier, Stephen Ware, exactly, he did exactly what you told him. He wrote and he said that this is an amazing gala, but he doesn't understand anything of the chat because that is in Swedish. Stephen, I'll call you to update you after the show. And he and his office, as a matter of fact, designed the Olympics Village in Paris in 2024. Are you going? I guess I have to. I'll try. Perhaps I will not participate in the games, but anyway. And you have seen the 12 nominations as well, and your thoughts. As a matter of fact, there was a question, what is the favorite of Swedish Wood? And I guess you're justified in asking, and every co-worker has his or her favorite. And that is the reflection of, well, all of us. It is amazing how many different buildings that we can erect using wood. We're going to take a quick look at the 12 entries.
Det är inte många minuter kvar
in just a few minutes we'll know what the project will leave the gala with the big wooden horse and the check, 100,000 krona, and the eternal fame and glory. But first, before then, I would like to hand over to the Royal Palace and Her Royal Highness, the Crown Princess Victoria. Ladies and gentlemen, many things have been cancelled or changed this year, including the Wood Award Gala. I would have liked very much to meet all of you in person tonight, but I'm glad to have been given this opportunity to send a short message. To build with wood is nothing new to us in Sweden. It's a long and proud tradition. Here at the Royal Palace in Stockholm, the floor joists are made of wood and they literally carry part of our cultural heritage. In the same manner, much of the prosperity of our country rests on wood, on our ability to make use of the invaluable resource we have in our Swedish forest, and to manage that resource so that it can continue to grow. For centuries, we have gathered that knowledge about all the opportunities that are inherent in this amazing material, knowledge that we today cultivate through research and development and that we export across the globe. That knowledge is a valuable resource for our country, especially considering the big global transformation that is underway, from finite resources to renewable raw materials. Wood and wood construction is not just an evident part of our history, but also an incredibly exciting part of our future. I wish you all a continued nice gala, and to everyone nominated for the Wood Award 2020, I want to say congratulations.
Hennes Kungliga Höghet, Kronprinsessa
Her Royal Highness, the Crown Princess Victoria. And thank you from Berns to the Royal Palace. Matthias, now we are there. What about your pulse, your heartbeat? Way too high. You have the check, and we have the jury back on stage. And what do you think about the evening? It's been good. It's been brilliant. As a matter of fact, you look happy. And you feel that these were the right projects that were presented? Definitely, absolutely. And I'm not going to keep you in suspense for much longer. We are just about to hand over the horse, the check, the fame and glory. And Carmen, now the moment is here. You're to open the golden envelope and read out the reasoning of the jury, the award, the Wood Award 2020. Comfortably inserted into the surrounding landscape, the scape has been brought about through a natural and genuine encounter with the material wood. Here, the essential components of architecture, material, volume and light has been arranged and crafted with an obviousness. A methodological quest for simplicity where the end result is a poetic complexity. One single room of wood where many subtleties invoke thoughts of infinite rooms. And the winner of the 2020 Wood Award is
Atelier i Södersvik.
Atelier Södersvik.
Grattis!
Congratulations, you are the winners of the 2020 Wood Awards.
Fantastiskt! Och här står Mattias
Big
med
congratulations. Here we have Mattias with the check. And we will mail it from the post office, as you'll have it in the mail in a few days' time. 100,000 krona. And the feelings in Södersvik in the archipelago of Stockholm right now, well, I hope that we'll have them very soon with us online. And the jury, what do you have to say? Oh, hi, there you are. Congratulations. Hi. A big congratulations from us here at Berns in Stockholm and from Swedish Wood, needless to say. And I will mail this to you. You'll have it soon. We're overwhelmed. We don't know what to say. It's huge. And the jury is very happy as well with being able to present to you this beautiful horse. It will arrive at Södersvik eventually as well. And I really do not want to ask you, but I have to. What does it feel like? Surreal. It is completely amazing. Do you want to say thank you to someone? Oh, well. Well, I have to say that this has been amazing to be granted the opportunity to work together with you. And there have been many other individuals involved in this project as well who are not with us here today, and we want to say thank you to everyone who has been involved. And how will you be celebrating? Will we hear champagne corks soon, maybe, and start some dancing here in the room as well. And perhaps we should do the same thing with a corona-safe distance between us, needless to say. I want to say thank you to the jury as well. Thank you for all your work, and Matthias as well. I guess we should say thank you also to everyone who's been watching. More than 1,000 viewers. Yes, the biggest gala ever. And it has been so much fun to be allowed to participate with everyone, all the nominees and the winners. We've had an amazing evening, and Lee, I want to say thank you because you have kept everything together in a perfect manner. Thank you to our project leader Sandra at Brightness as well, and a huge thank you to Alexander, our project leader at Swedish Wood. He has worked incredibly hard, and we have made many changes because the preconditions have kept changing all the time. So great work, Alexander. And the chat is not dead. No, it's not. Well, it will stay open for another half hour after we stop broadcasting, so do tell us what you think in the chat. And you can also send congratulations to the winners, and that is why we're keeping the chat open. And I really do not want to leave the stage, but I have to, and see you again in 4 years' time.